All right, so the thing that is going to allow you to get everything that you could pull out of a training session or out of what it is that you do is an understanding of what you have to pull from. And so what I mean by that is, like, let's say that this is you here, and you have yourself here, and then you have an exercise here. Let's call this a slow lower deep push-up, right? That's what we have over here. So we have yourself here, we have the exercise here, and the intent or the goal is to, let's say that with a slow lower deep push-up, we give it like a meter, and this is 100, this is 0, and this is 50. And this represents how much we could get out of it, right? So how much, this is the potential that it has, and let's say that we want to get all the way up to 100% of what we can out of this specific exercise on this given day. The thing that allows us to get to that point is what we're able to utilize. We're going to call these different things on here, what we're able to utilize to be able to invest ourselves into that exercise. And so something to consider is looking at what is it that you actually have that you can use to invest in an exercise, right? Like, what do you have that you can use? Some examples of that. Let's say emotion, and let's take two different emotions. Let's take anger, and then let's take joy. Could we use anger and joy in the same exercise, like over the course of the same amount of time? Could we use both anger and joy in order to help us get to this point? Like, what could or would you be angry about that would allow you to invest into this slow or deep push-up, and what or could you be joyful about that would allow you to invest into that deep push-up, right? Let's say anger. You remember one time when you were 12, and a coach told you that you're never gonna do what you wanted to do, right? That is something that we could utilize to invest yourself into that exercise. And let's say for joy, you have a vision of, 3 years from now, this is what you want to be able to get to, right? Or this is what you are, right? You have that. And so you can use that to be able to invest into the exercise. And there's, like, your ability to take and to utilize these are what determine how much you can invest yourself into it. Like, if we think about, let's say we take person A and we take person B. And person A gets 100% of what he could out of it, and person B gets, let's say, 50% of what he could get out of it. Understand that the exercise itself does not change. It does not change. Like, the exercise is the same, and then in both instances, there's a person A and there's a person B. The difference that allows person A to actually get what he can out of it is his ability to utilize these things that he has available to him, right? And we all intuitively know this, where there are certain people that seem to tap into that deeper level that simply allows them to invest more fully in what it is that they're doing. They have more intensity, they have more drive to do it, like whatever. All we're trying to do here is put in actual reality to what that is. Instead of it being this intangible thing, right? It's like, what is that thing? And so to figure out what is that thing, we start to look at what is it that you can use to elevate your level of investment, right? And so it's like, emotions could be one thing. Emotions are a very important thing because an emotion is basically what is between you and what you're looking at, right? Like, if I'm here, I'm looking at a whiteboard. I don't really have an emotion about it, but like, let's say I was angry at the whiteboard. That emotion is between me and the whiteboard. So it's giving me my relationship to that thing. Let's say that there's a chair. I love the chair. That emotion is giving me my relationship to that thing. So emotions are important because they are what connect you to the things that are around you and how you see them, what you think about them, right? So those are all things that can be used. But we can also look at like musculature. What or how could you use your musculature most efficiently to be able to pull 100% out of this exercise? Is there a better way to do a deep push-up, a slower deep push-up than what you're currently doing? Can you use your bicep different? Can you use your tricep different? Can you use your pec, your delt, your back? Can you use these things differently that would actually allow you to get more out of it and go for a longer time, right? And just from experience, like, there is a way that you can be more efficient with that. If you're able to literally, like actually pull and shorten your bicep and actually lengthen your tricep, you're going to be able to go for longer periods of time. Your tricep isn't going to try to be shortened, it's not going to burn out, so you're not going to fatigue, so you're going to be able to press up at the end, you're going to be able to pull for longer. There's actual like methods or ways in which we can use our musculature to pull more out of this exercise. What else could we have? We could have, we could have a thought, like we could have thoughts, which, thought is separate from emotion. They often get tied because we have emotion with the thought, like connected to a thought, because emotion will be basically us, it's between like us and the thought, like what we think about that thought, but we have thoughts as well. Could you think, could you think let's say like evil thoughts? Could you think beneficial thoughts? Could you think unrelated thoughts, right? Like what are all the different thoughts that you could have that could somehow allow you to pull more out of this? So all these things become, there's many more than that. There's like, what else do we have that we could pull from? If you have like environment is something that you can also pull from. If you have other people in your environment, or if you don't, right, that's also an aspect. But all these different things, all these different like factors that are present between you and the thing that you're doing are factors to start to look at to be like, okay, if we take the greatest athletes or the greatest competitors of all time, what they do is they're able to use all of this. And it's not in a way where I get tied up in it necessarily, where it's like, let's say I have a thought, right, and that thought is anger. Or that thought has anger attached to it because I'm angry about what the thought is. It's not about not being able to control this, right? So like, let's say this comes in and just impinges or acts on me, and I have no control, and I'm just running off this anger, and I'm not actively choosing it, right? It's not about that. It's about understanding that these are all tools and be like, I can go to a place that is anger on purpose because I know what it's allowing me to do is actually invest more of myself into this exercise. So now it's not this thing that's running you, it's this thing that you're choosing to utilize to get there. Because then at the same time, you can be like, okay, I've used anger for 45 seconds, now I'm going to flip to joy. And I'm going to be like, now I'm going to have this thought of, sighing or moving or whatever like the life thing is or the sport thing is that you want, right? Now I'm going to switch to joy in my head on purpose. I'm going to leave anger, I'm going to go to joy just like that. And I'm now going to use that to put me in a better state because I was getting, like the anger was just, it wasn't there, it wasn't working, it wasn't running out, so I'm going to easily flow now into joy. And I'm going to use that to be able to keep me there, right? Because we all know the best people that we see, they're able to flip through and use all these different things. They don't get stuck in one or the other. They can use what is presented in front of them and just flow through that and work through that, right? So what I'm saying is like you can understand what those are and you can actually learn. It's a skill that can be used to learn. So when you're doing these things, you could literally write down like, okay, I have anger, I have joy, I have boredom, I have antagonism, and I have, extreme exhilaration, right? I have these 5 different things. I'm going to write them down in front of me. I'm going to have them here. I'm going to pick through and I'm going to go through those as I go through my slow lower knee push-up or whatever the exercise is. So it's like purposefully learning how to use those to be able to pull more out of yourself. So it's like what is connected to each of those 5 different things for you, and you start to learn those and you start to understand, okay, I can pull from here, I can pull from here, I can pull from here, I can pull from here. And it's not that I have to, it's that I'm choosing to do it, right? And so this is like a manipulation, it's not a manipulation, it's an understanding of who you are and what you can create and what you have available to you, which will then allow you to pull more into this exercise. Because I think this is really what makes, we all know it's not the training program. Like the training program is important, right? There are better and worse training programs. So that's a part of it. Another massive part of it is like those who actually perform the best, they know how to do this better than anyone else. And so it's a skill that can be learned. Start looking at how can you learn that skill and integrating that into your actual training.